In the play The Importance of Being Earnest, the main character Jack is in love with Gwendolyn Fairfax, and the secondary main character Algernon Moncrief is in love with Cecily Cardew. When the play opens, Algernon, who knows Jack is earnest, has begun to suspect something, having found an inscription inside Jack's cigarette case addressed to Uncle Jack from someone who refers to herself as Lil Cecily. During Act 1, Jack drops in unexpectedly on Algernon and announces that he intends to propose to Gwendolyn. In Act 2, Algernon shows up at Jack's country estate posing as Jack's brother, Ernest. Meanwhile, Jack, having decided that Ernest has outlived his usefulness, arrives home in deep mourning, full of a story about Ernest having died suddenly in Paris. Act 3 takes place in the drawing room of the manor house where Cecily and Gwendolyn have retired. Enter Gwendolyn. Cecily advances to meet Gwendolyn.
Pray let me introduce myself to you. My name is Cecily Cardew.
Cecily Cardew?
Gwendolyn moves to Cecily and shakes her hand.
What a very sweet name. Something tells me that we are going to be great friends.
How nice of you to like me so much after we have known each other such a comparatively short time. Pray sit down.
I may call you Cecily, may I not?
With pleasure,
And you will always call me Gwendolyn, won't you?
if you wish.
Then that is all quite settled, is it not?
I hope so.
Cecily pauses, and then Gwendolyn and Cecily both sit down. Gwendolyn examines Cecily carefully.
You are here on a short visit, I suppose.
Oh no, I live here.
Really? Your mother, no doubt, or some female relative of advanced years resides here also?
Oh no, I have no mother. My dear guardian, with the assistance of Miss Prism, has the arduous task of looking after me.
Your guardian?
Yes, I am Mr. Worthing's ward.
Oh, it is strange he never mentioned to me that he had a ward. How secretive of him. He grows more interesting hourly.
Gwendolyn sits down again.
I am very fond of you, Cecily. I have liked you ever since I met you. Well, to speak with perfect candor, Cecily, I wish that you were fully 42, and more than usually plain for your age. Ernest has a strong, upright nature. He is the very soul of truth and honor.
Did you say Ernest?
Yes,
But it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is my guardian. It is his brother, his elder brother.
Gwendolyn sits down again.
Ernest never mentioned to me that he had a brother.
I am sorry to say they have not been on good terms for a long time.
Of course you are quite sure that is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is your guardian.
Quite sure. In fact, I am going to be his.
I beg your pardon?
Dearest Gwendolyn, there is no reason why I should make a secret of it to you. Our little county newspaper is sure to chronicle the fact next week. Mr. Ernest Worthing and I are engaged to be married.
My darling Cicely, I think there must be some slight error. Mr. Ernest Worthing is engaged to me. The announcement will appear in the Morning Post on Saturday at the latest.
I am afraid you must be under some misconception. Ernest proposed to me exactly 10 minutes ago.
Cecily shows Gwendolyn her diary, and Gwendolyn examines the diary carefully.
It is certainly very curious, for he asked me to be his wife yesterday at 5:30. If you would care to verify the incident, pray do so.
Gwendolyn takes out a diary of her own.
I am so sorry, dear Cecily, if it is any disappointment to you, but I am afraid I have the prior claim.
It would distress me more than I can tell you, dear Gwendolyn, if it caused you any mental or physical anguish. But I feel bound to point out, since Ernest proposed to you, he clearly has changed his mind.
If the poor fellow has been entrapped into any foolish promise, I shall consider it my duty to rescue him at once and with a firm hand.
Whatever unfortunate entanglement my dear boy may have got into, I will never reproach him with it after we are married.
Do you allude to me, Miss Cardew, as an entanglement? You are presumptuous. On an occasion of this kind, it becomes more than a moral duty to speak one's mind. It becomes a pleasure.
Do you suggest, Miss Fairfax, that I entrap Ernest into an engagement? How dare you? This is no time for wearing the shallow mask of manners.
Enter Merryman, followed by the footman. He carries a salver, tablecloth, and plate stand. Cecily is about to retort. The presence of the servants exercises a restraining influence, under which both girls chafe.
Shall I lay tea here as usual, miss?
Yes, as usual.
The merry man begins to clear the table and lay cloth. There's a long pause. Cecilia and Gwendolyn glare at each other.
May I offer you some tea, Miss Fairfax?
Thank you, detestable girl, but I require tea.
Sugar?
No, thank you. Sugar is not fashionable anymore.
Cecilia looks angrily at Gwendolyn, takes up the tongs, and puts 4 lumps of sugar into the cup.
Cake or bread and butter?
Bread and butter, please. Cake is rarely seen at the best house nowadays.
Cecilia cuts a very large slice of cake and puts it on the tray.
Hand that to Miss Fairfax.
The merry man does so and goes out with the footman. Gwendolyn drinks the tea and makes a grimace. She puts down the cup at once, reaches out her hand to the bread and butter, looks at it, and finds that it is cake. Gwendolyn then rises in indignation.
You have filled my tea with lumps of sugar, and though I asked distinctly for bread and butter, you have given me cake. I am known for the gentleness of my disposition and the extraordinary sweetness of my nature, but I warn you, Miss Cardew, you may go too far.
Cecilia rises.
To save my poor, innocent, trusting boy from the machinations of any other girl, there are no lengths to which I would not go.
From the moment I saw you, I distrusted you. I felt that you were false and deceitful. I am never deceived in such manners. My first impressions of people are invariably right.
It seems to me, Miss Fairfax, that I am trespassing on your valuable time. No doubt you have many other calls of a similar character to make in the neighborhood.
Enter Jack. Gwendolyn sees Jack.
Ernest, my own Ernest.
Gwendolyn, darling.
Jack offers Gwendolyn a kiss. Gwendolyn draws back.
A moment. May I ask if you are engaged to be married to this young lady?
Gwendolyn points at Cecilia.
To dear little Cecilia. Of course not. What could have put such an idea into your pretty little head?
I know there must be some misunderstanding, Miss Fairfax. The gentleman whose arm is at present round your waist is my guardian, Mr. John Worthing.
I beg your pardon?
This is Uncle Jack.
Jack! Oh!
Enter Algernon.
Here is Ernest.
Algernon goes straight to Cecilia without noticing anybody else.
My own love!
Algernon offers to kiss Cecilia. Cecilia draws back.
A moment, Ernest. May I ask you, are you engaged to be married to this young lady?
To what young lady? Good heavens, Gwendolyn?
Yes, to good heavens, Gwendolyn. I mean to Gwendolyn.
Of course not. What could you have put such an idea into your pretty little head?
Thank you.
Cecilia presents her cheek to be kissed.
You may.
Algernon kisses Cecilia.
I felt there was some slight error, Miss Cardew. The gentleman who is now embracing you is my cousin, Mr. Algernon Moncrief.
Cecilia breaks away from Algernon.
Algernon Moncrief. Oh,
Cecilia and Gwendolyn move towards each other and put their arms around each other's waists, as if for protection.
are you called Algernon?
I cannot deny it.
Oh,
Is your name really John?
Jack stands up rather proudly.
I could deny it if I like. I could deny anything if I like. But my name certainly is John. It has been John for years.
a gross deception has been practiced.
My poor wounded Cicely.
My sweet wrong Gwendolyn.
You will call me sister, will you not?
Cecilia and Gwendolyn embrace each other. Jack and Algernon groan and walk up and down.
There is just one question I would like to be allowed to ask my guardian.
An admirable idea. Mr. Worthing, there is just one question I would like to be permitted to put to you. Where is your brother Ernest? We are both engaged to be married to your brother Ernest, so it is a matter of some importance to us to know where your brother Ernest is at present.
Gwendolyn, Cecily, it is very painful for me to be forced to speak the truth. It is the first time in my life that I have ever been reduced to such a painful position, and I'm really quite inexperienced in doing anything of the kind. However, I will tell you quite frankly that I have no brother Ernest. I have no brother at all. I never had a brother in my life, but I certainly have not the smallest intention of ever having one in the future.
No brother at all?
None.
Have you never a brother of any kind?
Never. Not even of any kind.
I am afraid it is quite clear, Cecily, that neither of us is engaged to be married to anyone.
It is not a very pleasant position for a young girl suddenly to find herself in.
Let us go into the house.
Cecilia and Gwendolyn return to the house with scornful looks.
This ghastly state of things is what you call burn burying, I suppose.
Yes, and a perfectly wonderful bunbury it is. The most wonderful bunbury I have ever had in my life. Well, one must be serious about something if one wants to have any amusement in life. I happen to be serious about bunburying. What on earth are you serious about? I haven't got the remotest idea. About everything I should fancy. You have such an absolutely trivial nature.
Well, the only small satisfaction I have in the whole of this wretched business is that your friend Bunbury is quite exploded. You won't be able to run down to the country quite so often as you used to do, dear Algie, and a very good thing too. As for your conduct toward Miss Cardew, I must say that your taking in a sweet, simple, innocent girl like that is quite inexcusable, to say nothing of the fact that she is my ward.
I can see no possible defense at all for your deceiving a brilliant, clever, thoroughly experienced young lady like Miss Fairfax, to say nothing of the fact that she is my cousin.
I wanted to be engaged to Gwendolyn. I love her.
Well, I simply wanted to be engaged to Cecily. I adore her.
There is certainly no chance of your marrying Miss Cardew.
I don't think there is much likelihood, Jack, of you and Miss Fairfax being united.
Well, that is no business of yours.
If it was my business, I wouldn't talk about it. It is very vulgar to talk about one's business. Only people like stockbrokers do that, and then merely at dinner parties.
How can you sit there, calmly eating muffins while we are in tea? I can't make out. You seem to be perfectly heartless.
Well, I can't eat muffins in an agitated manner. The butter would probably get on my cuffs. One should eat muffins quite calmly. It is the only way to eat them.
I say it's perfectly heartless you're eating muffins at all, under the circumstances.
When I am in trouble, eating is the only thing that counsels me.
Good heavens. I suppose a man may eat his own muffins in his own garden.
But you have just said it was perfectly heartless to eat muffins.
I said it was perfectly heartless of you, under the circumstances. That is a very different thing.
That may be, but the muffins are the same.
Algie, I wish to goodness you would go.
You can't possibly ask me to go without having some dinner. It's absurd. I never go without my dinner.
My dear fellow, the sooner you give up that nonsense the better. I made arrangements this morning with Mr. Chastable to be christened myself at 5:30, and I naturally will take the name of Ernest. Gwendolyn would wish it. We can't both be christened Ernest. It's absurd.
Yes, but I have not been christened for years.
Yes, but you have been christened, and that is the important thing.
Quite so, so I know my constitution can stand it. Jack, you are at the muffins again. I wish you didn't. There are only 2 left. I told you I was particularly fond of muffins.
But I hate tea cake. Algernon, I have already told you to go. I don't want you here. Why don't you go?
I haven't quite finished my tea yet, and there is still one muffin left.
After Jack and Algernon's confrontation in the garden, the 2 women confront them. Cecily asks Algernon why he pretended to be her guardian's brother. Algernon tells her he did it in order to meet her. Gwendolyn asks Jack whether he pretended to have a brother in order to come into London to see her as often as possible, and she interprets his evasive reply as an affirmation. The women are somewhat appeased but still concerned over the issue of the name. However, when Jack and Algernon tell Gwendolyn and Cecily that they have both made arrangements to be christened Ernest that afternoon, all is forgiven and the 2 pairs of lovers embrace. At this moment, Lady Bracknell's arrival is announced. Ironically, Jack discovers at the end of the play that he is not the illegitimate child of a lady named Miss Prism, but the legitimate child of Lady Bracknell's sister, and, therefore, Algernon's older brother. All these years, Jack has unwittingly been telling the truth. Ernest is his name, as is Jack, and he does have an unprincipled younger brother, Algernon. Again, the couples embrace. Miss Prism and Dr. Chasuble follow suit, and Jack acknowledges that he now understands the vital importance of being earnest.